On the board voted to change the rules for handling ballots, requiring poll workers at each precinct in Georgia's 159 counties to conduct a hand count of all the ballots on election night, in addition to the traditional machine count. Trump ally Janelle King.
What I don't want to do is set a precedent that we are okay with speed over accuracy. I don't see any danger in hand counting. If the complaint is that, I just don't want to stay there an extra hour, that's just not a good enough complaint for me.
An idea opponents blistered as an attempt to slow the vote count.
We are talking about all these last-minute changes, and it makes me question whether members of this board are operating in good faith.
Others said it will cost millions of dollars to hire and train additional workers and sow distrust in the results and delay tabulation of final results by days or weeks.
I brought with me 1,872 pages of paper representing what a stack of ballots could look like on a busy counting day.
All the top Republicans in the state, including the governor, have criticized the board's actions, accusing them of exceeding their authority and making 11th-hour changes. Trump, meanwhile, has lauded and thanked the board members for considering new rules.
They're on fire. They're doing a great job. 3 members.
The vice president didn't address the election board controversy in an event in the Atlanta suburbs of Cobb County, instead slamming Republicans for limiting abortion services, citing the story of Amber Nicole Thurman, a Georgia woman who died because she didn't receive the appropriate abortion care in time.
We will make sure Amber is not just remembered as a statistic, and that she should be alive today.
That was Scott McFarland reporting. A legal challenge to stop the new rule could be filed later Monday. You're watching CBS News Roundup.
Never going to be the person that I was before the 7th of October.
Every single person that I lost on that day would have made the hell out of this life. And for them, I need to continue living.
This is Dr. Fraser Crane. I'm listening.
Oh, hey, Dad, I got a question about punctuation.
Ooh! No, stay on task. How do I look?
Rich.
Just what I was going for.
Oh my God, they traded your baby for wine.
Do you really think we would trade John for white Zinfandel? Or any wine?
The way you use energy always changes. Live Your Free from TXU Energy is the first and only plan of its kind that automatically adapts each month to give you free energy when you use it most.
Live Your Free knows exactly when to help me save.
It's tailor-made to give you free energy all day, night, or weekend every month.
Almost like having an energy plan that was made just for me. Automatically choosing when I'll get the biggest savings each month.
Those are savings that are always personalized to you.
Live Your Free is the perfect fit.
It sure is. TXU Energy. Energy for everything.
If you love football, this is the best time of the year.
This is as big as it gets.
The stuff of absolute dreams.
Look at his outfit. Hey, give me some love, baby.
Up top.
All right.
For Haiti, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
Hello, and thanks for staying up with us. I'm Matt Piper in New York, and here are the top stories on CBS News Roundup. Gunmen are still on the run after a brazen mass shooting in Birmingham, Alabama. Fighting intensifies in the Middle East, with Hezbollah declaring it's now in an open-ended battle with Israel. And Vice President Kamala Harris leads former President Donald Trump in nationwide polling while they remain neck and neck in battleground states. Police are on the hunt for gunmen who opened fire in the nation's latest mass shooting. At least 4 people were killed and dozens wounded, some in critical condition, in Birmingham, Alabama, Saturday night. Police say it was a targeted attack using handguns converted into fully automatic weapons. It happened in a neighborhood filled with restaurants and bars, often crowded on weekend nights. CBS's Christian Benavides is there.
The gunfire erupted on a Birmingham street in a neighborhood of restaurants and bars near the city's university.
Sounded like about 12 shots of a burst round gun went off. It sounded like 3 rounds at once, and we heard dot, 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 and then we saw a bunch of cops.
Police say it was a targeted attack involving multiple shooters, dozens of people caught in the crossfire.
That's 21 people whose lives were forever changed. That's 21 families that were, some were destroyed and some were just altered.
More than 100 shell casings were recovered from the scene. Investigators say it points to a weapon capable of automatic fire. The mayor saying his city is suffering.
Gun violence is at an epidemic level and an epidemic crisis in our country. And unfortunately, the city of Birmingham finds itself, unfortunately, at the tip of that spear.
Officials say there have been at least 105 homicides in the city so far this year. Police now seeking help to identify the shooters.
The public's assistance is where it's really going to come down to at the end of the day. That's the biggest piece that will expedite this investigation.
Police said the intended target of the shooting is believed to be among the dead. They also said that they believe that at least one of the shooters had an illegal switch on his weapon, allowing it to be used as a fully automatic. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Birmingham, Alabama.
The White House says it remains hopeful the long-simmering dispute between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon will not explode into an all-out war. But this weekend, both sides exchanged heavy fire across the border, with Israeli warplanes carrying out the most intense bombardment of southern Lebanon in almost a year of conflict. And now, new rhetoric and violence is making it less likely that wider bloodshed can be avoided. CBS's Chris Livesay reports from Tel Aviv.
A barrage of Hezbollah rockets and drones shattered the silence over northern Israel. All of it in response to this. An Israeli strike on Friday in southern Beirut that killed top Hezbollah commander Ibrahim Akil. Given a hero's burial today in the same Hezbollah stronghold where he died. The Israeli military says the war's center of gravity is now moving north, away from Hamas and towards Hezbollah, where ongoing clashes have forced nearly 70,000 Israelis to flee. We will safely return the residents to their homes, Israel's Army Chief of Staff said today. If Hezbollah did not understand this, it will receive a blow and another blow until it understands. But Israel hasn't forgotten about Hamas and Gaza. A school where hundreds of people were sheltering was struck west of Gaza City. This just a day after the Hamas-run health ministry said a strike on another school left at least 22 dead, half of them children. One of them, a pregnant woman. Israel said the school had been turned into a Hamas command center. And in the occupied West Bank, during a live broadcast, Israeli forces shut down the Ramallah bureau of Al Jazeera as a journalist read the warrant.
So far, Israel has not claimed responsibility for those exploding beepers and walkie-talkies, but today, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did say that Israel dealt Hezbollah, quote, a sequence of blows it could not imagine. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
There's only 6 weeks remaining until Election Day, and voting is already underway in a handful of states. A new CBS News poll shows Vice President Harris gaining momentum nationally over former President Trump. But it's a different story in the battleground states. CBS's Skylar Henry has more from the White House.
Former President Trump isn't wavering on his stance on reproductive rights, speaking to supporters in the battleground state of North Carolina Saturday.
Women will be happy, healthy, confident, and free. You will no longer be thinking about abortion because it is now where It always had to be with the states.
It's an issue his opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, has pounced on, considering Trump appointed the 3 Supreme Court justices part of the conservative majority that overturned Roe v. Wade.
And these hypocrites want to start talking about this is in the best interest of women and children. Well, where you been? Where you been?
A new CBS News poll shows 52% of likely voters say abortion will be a major factor in their vote for president, though 88% say the economy holds the most weight. The vice president is narrowing her deficit with Trump among those concerned about the economy, though 59% still think it's bad. The poll also found Americans' position on immigration sharply divided.
I don't care who we are, live in a city of 4,000 people, and you bring in 2,500 migrants overnight into one place, there are going to be problems.
Trump wins with 83% of voters who believe immigrants commit more crimes and 80% of those who think immigrants take jobs from citizens. Harris wins with 65% of voters who think immigrants fill jobs Americans won't do, and 74% of those who say they're part of what makes America special.
It's neck and neck, and we just need to get the vote out in the states that matter to be able to make sure that we can move forward rather than backward as a country.
A majority of registered voters say they also feel as if the tone and tenor surrounding politics in the country has only gotten worse. They also say they feel as if the threat of political violence will increase regardless of which side wins come the election. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
And CBS News will host the only vice presidential debate between Senator J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz. It's on Tuesday, October 1st here in New York. Watch our live coverage of the debate moderated by Nora O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan on CBS and streaming on CBS News 24/7 and on Paramount+. Starting in 2026, grocery stores across California will no longer be offering shoppers the choice between paper or plastic. The governor signed a new law on Sunday mandating that stores only offer paper bags. Single-use plastic bags were outlawed in California back in 2014, but the new ordinance targets those heavy-duty reusable bags. When CBS News Roundup continues, we'll have the latest on the war in Ukraine. The U.S. military aid package to Ukraine is set to expire at the end of the month. What comes next? We'll hear from the experts. Stay with us.
At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. They put their names on arenas, we put ours on my lower back. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. And if this were one of their ads, they'd end it here with a happy customer. So we'll end ours with an angry goat. Ooh, look at the angry goat.
We might have some trouble coming our way.
If you want to build a future, you got to know what you want.
I want to teach them some conflict resolution.
Nothing resolves a conflict like a good smack in the chest.
Tulsa King, new season now streaming exclusively on Paramount+.
I had 20 years of experience as an HR professional, and I had reached a ceiling, so I enrolled in UMGC. I would not be the person that I am today had it not been for the partnership with UMGC.
Sightseers in space, the thrill of a lifetime. But the risks that come with it might make you look before you launch. Space tourism, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
Hours, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
This is CBS News Roundup. I'm Matt Piper in New York. Moscow unleashed another squadron of Iranian-made drones into the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv. The explosions damaged and destroyed several residential buildings. Ukraine is running low on the missiles used to knock down these air assaults, and U.S. military funding runs out at the end of this month. Our David Martin has the latest on the conflict.
Ukraine's surprise thrust into Russia. Armored columns slicing through unprepared defenses, seizing towns and settlements. is perhaps the most audacious gamble in more than 2 years of war.
There's a big psychological blow here to the Russian mindset, specifically Putin, where you have a Ukrainian penetration of Russian territory, first time since World War II.
But former Joint Chiefs Chairman Mark Milley points out the 500 square mile bulge is barely a dot on the map of Russia and comes with considerable risk.
It's exposed. It has, 3 exposed flanks. And the Russians could mass forces, cut them off, and overrun the Ukrainians.
Do you expect Putin to mount a major counteroffensive to take it back?
That's at least one of the possibilities that could very well happen in the coming months.
Russian President Putin is pursuing a long war strategy, relying on sheer weight of numbers to slowly grind down Ukraine. President Zelensky is trying to shorten the war by bringing it home to Russian soil. This week, a weapons depot 300 miles inside Russia went up in a massive fireball after being hit by Ukrainian drones. And Zelensky is pushing hard for permission to use American-made long-range missiles against targets in Russia.
We need to have this long-range capability so that Russia is motivated to seek peace.
Ukraine has already used the missiles known as ATACMS with devastating effect against Russian targets in occupied Crimea.
You can shoot out to about, I think it's 300 kilometers or so, 190 miles. You can shoot basically from Washington, D.C. to New York City.
ATACMS is guided by GPS and carries a 500-pound warhead.
It will clearly have impact wherever it hits, but it's not going to destroy an entire depot. It's not going to destroy a brigade or a division of troops.
Zelensky says he needs them to counter glide bomb attacks, which are launched from bases inside Russia. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says it's too late for that.
We know that the Russians have actually moved their aircraft that are using the glide bombers beyond the range of ATACMS.
There are other Russian military targets still within range of ATACMS, but Putin has warned that striking them would bring NATO and the U.S. directly into conflict with Russia.
He's making a clear, unambiguous threat publicly against NATO.
How could he respond?
You could easily have missiles, Russian missiles, strike into, say, Poland. If one of those missiles or 2 of those missiles an area where there's U.S. forces there, killing American soldiers, you're going to have a major league international crisis on your hands at that point.
It's a high-stakes moment for a war that already has cost an estimated total on both sides of 1 million casualties and is mired in stalemate.
The probability of Russia militarily overrunning Ukraine is very unlikely, but the probability of Ukraine militarily compelling the withdrawal of, a couple 100,000 Russian troops is also highly unlikely.
Zelensky is betting his already stretched defensive lines in Ukraine will hold while he opens a new front inside Russia.
He took a calculated risk in order to put himself into a position of strength for what he perceives could be the coming of some sort of negotiation perhaps next year.
Part of the risk is whether the U.S., with its deeply divided politics, will continue sending Ukraine enough weapons to stave off Russian assaults. Funding for those weapons is set to expire at the end of this month.
If somehow that aid gets cut off, if somehow Europe or the United States does not support Ukraine, then I think it gets very problematic for Ukraine to sustain that fight.
That was David Martin reporting. CBS News Roundup. We'll be right back.
What does a robot know about love? How to translate that leap inside the human heart into something we can see and hold. The fingerprints we leave behind show how determined we are to give the world a piece of ourselves. Etsy.
Think Miami can make a deep run this year?
Well, they have Tyreek Hill, and
my sources say yes, and my sources are wrong as often as dolphins sleep. Never. Wow.
Be a football know-it-all with NFL Plus Premium.
It was almost like being face to face with the devil.
Women riding bicycles dismembered.
She just vanished.
48 hours reports. I fought and fought. 911, what is your emergency?
She disappeared off the face of the earth.
Ever think in your wildest dreams someone might want to kill you?
This almost became a game of psychological warfare.
You're caught. You're gonna go down.
Stream 48 hours, 24/7.
From Mickey Mouse to Waterford Crystal to Bitcoin mining, even Seinfeld on Pop-Tarts. The Money Issue, this Sunday morning.
48 hours, now streaming on the free CBS News app.
General Motors CEO Mary Barra has plans to sell only electric vehicles by 2035. Well, those plans may now be in flux. Chris Van Cleve took a ride with the trailblazing executive.
So, do you want to go into Super Cruise?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not every day.
Vehicles.
Oh, there it goes. You take a drive. We're super cruising.
All right. Very good.
With one of the most powerful women on the planet. I can have my hands off the wheel.
Hands off the wheel, feet off the pedals, but you have to be looking forward.
Mary Barra knows a thing or two about the need to look forward. During her 10 years as CEO of General Motors, Barra's made big investments in software and driverless cars.
At General Motors, our vision for the future is a world with zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestion. The key to unlock that vision is electrification.
But it was her promise 3 years ago to stop selling gas-powered vehicles by 2035, and GM's ability to live up to it that will likely define her legacy.
Is GM still looking to be all electric by 2035?
For our light-duty vehicles, yes, and we'll be guided by the consumer, but the plans that we have in place will get us there.
Are you concerned with the way that EV sales have slowed?
Well, I don't think we ever thought it was going to be linear.
Wall Street darling Tesla still dominates the market with nearly half of the EVs on the road in the U.S., but their market share is shrinking. And with 9 all-electric cars and trucks currently available and 4 more on the way, GM seems determined to catch up.
And I think this represents the ultimate in luxury.
We are the first to drive GM's highly anticipated and soon-to-be-released electric Cadillac Escalade IQ, starting around $130,000 with a range of at least 460 miles per charge. It includes features like semi-autonomous Super Cruise, which allows hands-free driving on many roads. It's a big leap of faith letting me drive you around the track in a car that...
Well, really, Super Cruise is driving.
Super Cruise is now driving, yeah. For a peek at what else is around the corner, GM invited us for a rare look inside its century-old Milford Proving Ground.
The Proving Ground at Milford, Michigan is the nucleus of an elaborate engineering test and evaluation network.
A 45-minute drive from the company's headquarters in Detroit, the Proving Ground has long been a hub for automotive innovation.
Motor cars from all over the world are brought here to be tested.
GM conducted the industry's first rollover test and the first crash test with those famous dummies, all right here. Today, the 4,000-acre site is home to more than 140 miles of every kind of test track imaginable, from off-road to brick road, even an honest-to-goodness racetrack.
Ready? Yeah, let's go.
Tony Roma is the executive chief engineer for Corvette. He took us for a spin in the new ZR1 with 1,064 horsepower and a top speed over 200 miles per hour. It's the fastest Corvette ever.
So is this a normal day at work for you? Yeah, I wish, right?
On this day, we managed to hit 170. With all of the computer modeling you guys do now, why is any of this necessary?
Yeah, you still need to stress the components to correlate the model.
Every detail of the ZR1 is being perfected here at Milford, from the handling to that signature Corvette sound.
We put